All right. How you all doing? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Happy Mother's Day if you're in the USA. Happy Mother's Day. Um, Actually, I just realized that the Mother's Day dates are different from place to place. So I was saying Happy Mother's Day to some of my colleagues and friends and family in Nigeria. And they were like, Mother's Day. We don't have Mother's Day. I said, oh, that's USA. So Happy Mother's Day for those of you in the USA. But even if you're in Nigeria, which is my focus, Happy Mother's Day. We got to celebrate mothers every day. And it stands to reason that today is the day that you kind of set aside for mothers to have a special day. But, you will think my talk today is going to surround mothers. You're going to be angry at me, but it's not, sincerely speaking. Yes, thank you. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. I think I'm going to I see some people trying to get on board. Thank you. Thank you. Happy Mother's Day. Yes. Happy Mother's Day. I hope you had a good Mother's Day, had a good lunch. The guys, I hope you're broke, because if you're not broke, then you have not celebrated Mother's Day very well. So you need to go back out on me. If you don't lunch, go buy some dinner, expensive dinner. And maybe they will assume that you've celebrated Mother's Day very well. Yes, happy Mother's Day. I hope you had a good one. I hope you had a very, very good one. And if you're not a mother, I pray you will be one day, if that's your calling and that's what you want to do. So happy Mother's Day in advance for that also. Happy Mother's Day in that. So, like I was saying, it stands to reason that today we're going to talk about mothers, right? No, we're not. And I have my reasons why. Don't get angry. I'm just a messenger. I'm just, this is a live talk. We keep it real. There's no forming. Everything is pretty much real, and I say it like it is. It doesn't mean I'm right. So it's up for debate. Please leave comments, share. Thank you for those of you who are sharing. I hear comments that the videos have been shared, and I was actually very, very happy this past week that as far out as Ghana, my recording had reached someone there. So I thank God for that. That's good. Like I said in the beginning, success is not the amount of likes. It's the impact I'm making in people's life. So for that reason, I'm going to keep going on. So thank you very much for those of you sharing. And for those of you who are new, I'm listening to the videos. If it resonates with you, if you feel it served a purpose, if you feel you picked something useful in it and you know other people who could, please share. Please feel free to share, like. That would be very helpful. Let me know that it's useful. And I intend to continue to do that. So yes, happy Mother's Day. You're welcome. You're welcome. Just responding to something. You're welcome. So like I was saying, today being Mother's Day, you would think it stands to reason that I got to talk about mothers today. But I'm not talking about mothers today. Today I want to talk about the men on Mother's Day. Hear me out. Relax. Hear me out. But the fact is, and I was doing my research, I'm looking at the days set aside for women. I mean, in January, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 days just in the month of January alone. Not talk of February, Valentine's Day, February 1. February 1 has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 days, 8 events to celebrate women just on February 1. And believe me, and the beat goes on, and the list just goes on. National Quaker Day, National Women's Heart Day, International Day of Zero Tolerance to Female, whatever. I'm not going to mention that word, so I don't have this tape bound. National Girls and Women's in Sports Day, Grandmother Achievement Day, Pro Sports Wives Day, Mother's Day Norway, League of Women's Voters Day, Introduce a Girl to Engineering Day, Introduce a Girl to Engineering Day. Believe me, women got it made. Let's keep going. National Endometriosis Awareness Month, National Women's History Month, National Black Women in Jazz and Art Day, World Day of Prayer, International Women's Week, Japan's Dolls Festival, Mother's Day in Georgia, Peach Blossom Day, Women in Construction Week, International Women's Day, Nari Dibas Day, United Nations Day for Women's Rights. Lord Almighty, and I'm still in March. All this I'm reading is just March. March is still rolling. April, Cesarean Awareness Month, Women's Eye Health and Safety Month. So many celebrations for women. Now, let's go to men. Very sad. Father's Day, International Men's Day, and Labor Day. Shikena. Maybe there's any more. Now, there are some other days that it says here, the days that men would like to be celebrated on. I'm not even going to talk about what they're saying there, because if I mention what these guys are saying they would like to be celebrated on, this recording is going to be banned and scratched by, what's it called? Instagram. So I'm not going to say what these guys are saying here. But stands to reason, kind of got me thinking. Mother's Day, that's just one of the days. But you see, men, we get neglected. We get neglected. And sometimes we totally don't understand that there are some things that are being set up for men that as we get older, I like to say younger, I don't want to say older, that's older. As we get up in age, we tend to realize that it gets more lonely. And this, let's just be real. You watching me, this guy, you watching me. When you were younger, it was mommy, 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 not daddy. Even though daddy may have paid school fees now, don't get me wrong, not everybody came from that same background where they had that privilege. But let's be real. Let's just keep it average. It was mommy, mommy, mommy growing up. Even I myself. It was mommy, mommy, mommy growing up. It wasn't daddy. Daddy was really nowhere to be found. It was there, but it just wasn't in your psyche. And those are some realities that we men don't quickly wake up to. So I just want to spend some time today. First of all, sometime. We don't have time today to really go into the full lecture, which I do give those. I do give full lectures on what men need to do in different aspects, different stages of life. But today I just want to kind of touch on some things to let you know that, yes, Mother's Day, but I want to talk about men. And you know, the only way that you men can really be happy on the long run is by you. Nobody else. That's a fact. That's reality. Nobody else. So I'm going to touch on some things here. But first, let's talk about why sometimes even men contribute to that pain down the line. First of all, we think we're Superman. We don't ask for help or even discuss what's wrong with us with anyone, maybe with other guys. But how many guys have the time to sit down and listen with you and commiserate? We don't have that time. But we need to make that time. We need to make that time. You know? Now, God help you if you are the firstborn and the oldest, like myself. Well, first of all, I have taken myself out of that myth of you are the oldest, so you got to do ABC. You are the oldest, so they got to walk over you like you're a carpet. You are the oldest, so you got to do X, Y, Z, while the younger ones just get it made. And then you die off first. Not that I want other people to die before me, don't get me wrong, but let me die on my own time clock. Not because I got used up, squeezed out as, Egmonda Danny. No, I don't buy into that, because we each all have a life and came into this world alone. Even if you're twins, you didn't come out of the canal at the same time. Somebody came out before the other person. So we all came alone. And I think each life must be cherished. So guys, we don't ask for help. We don't discuss our situation except with other guys. And most guys don't have time. We need to make time for that. That's number one. But one thing I would like to zero in on very, very strongly is that women miss a great opportunity while we end up being the forgotten half as time goes on. Yes, the forgotten half. Because the women will move to wherever the children is. Your son, your daughter has children, grandchildren begins to show up. They are not asking for daddy to come and stay with them to show them how to handle the first few months of a new baby's life with new parents. No, it's the grandma. And daddy, the man, becomes a forgotten half slowly but surely. So what are some things we need to do to be able to avoid being the forgotten half? We miss the opportunity to nurture. Women do that naturally. We can, and I'll tell you some things that I do. Women do that naturally. So that allows the child to just remember mommy for nurturing. It's just there. But we men miss it. I have gotten on the road of fixing that in my life because I like to practice what I preach as much as I can. I'm not perfect. Even when I'm talking, I'm still talking to myself. So what do I mean by women miss the opportunity to nurture. And I'm leaving this up to debate. Please put a comment, it's open, very open here. Make a comment, I'll respond. You see, women will spend most of our time, I don't anymore, what I'm about to tell you, most of our time thinking about how many houses we're going to leave behind, how many land we're going to leave behind, how much money am I going to leave behind, and we're out there hustling in that direction. But you know the sad part? The people that you are hustling for, most of the time have no clue what sacrifices you are making because you want to leave XYZ. And even after you leave XYZ, God help you, if they're no more living in that country, they will sell it. Then you are totally erased. You are done. You are done. So how can we fix that as men? I'm not saying it's something wrong. There's another talk about what you leave and don't leave behind, because we still have that myth in Nigeria. And I'm going to focus on my country. I'm not going to South Africa. Nigeria is a myth. And because there are some realities that is coming down the pipe that either way, believe it or not, is coming. It's a myth. In order to nurture and be able to capture that nurturing aspect in your child's life, so you are not a forgotten half, you have to start sharing your experiences rather than worrying about how much are you leaving behind or what are you leaving behind, tangible things. Because what money cannot buy lasts longer than what money can buy, your legacy. Your legacy, most of the time we say legacy, people are thinking he left this school, he did that school, he built this, he built that. There's nothing wrong in that too. Please don't beat me up. And don't think because I come from a very poor family, that's why I'm speaking like I'm speaking. No, I'm just being real here. I'm just being real. Even if I was blessed to be a billionaire today, I will still do what I'm telling you to do. You need to start sharing your mistakes with your children. They need to start seeing life through your eyes. They've seen life through their mother's eyes and they keep seeing it through their mother's eyes, nurturing, had been there, taking care of them, watching over them, doting over them, staying when they could go out late, she's always the one up and all that. So they see that aspect of life through those two sets of eyes of the mother. But we never seize and look for opportunities or create opportunities to have our children live life through our own eyes. And you do that by sharing your mistakes. And in Africa, there is that myth. If my father rest his soul, there were a lot of things I asked him, he didn't respond. I wish I knew. Maybe that's their old school. He didn't respond. He was giving me, he was dancing around like, tell me this thing, I need to know ABC, but he wouldn't, because that's just not how he was brought up. I want to change that. And I have to change that. You see, a progress in a legacy and a lifeline and in a line of family has to be change of things for the better. You look at the past, what can I do differently to match the present day? So you need to start sharing your mistakes with your children. Now, there are some mistakes you cannot share at a certain age, but as they get older, you share more detailed mistakes. I do that with my children. My children are very aware of all the mistakes I've made and why. And I can see that they are building their life around that, at least to avoid that. At least let them avoid the mistakes you made. They can't avoid all mistakes, or they're going to make their own. Or let it be their own, then they will pass it on. Can you imagine what your third generation is going to be like? People will be thinking these people are smart, intelligent, they got wisdom. No, great-grandpa started that tradition. Share your mistakes, your ups and downs, your successes. But most of the time, the successes, you won't let your children see that, yeah, you've arrived and stuff like that, but you never share the mistakes. I share my mistakes with my children. Because my children will tell you today, they've learned a lot just through my mistakes than anything else. I know I have a nurturing aspect in their life and they see life through me, big time. So if I don't leave them anything tangible today, I'm leaving them with something money cannot buy. Wisdom. Because a mistake that was made during biblical days are still being made today. That is why the Bible is still relevant. Books of Proverbs, for example. That's why the Bible is relevant today, because there is nothing that has happened before that is not happening now, that is not going to happen again. That's why that book has stayed relevant if you really read some aspects of it. And I'm not a Bible scholar, so don't come and debate Bible with me. I'm not a Bible scholar, but I do know that the few I've read, when I can relate it to present day. And I said to myself, wow, this is present day. Very, very important that you share your mistakes with your children. And you share them in due honesty. But then you have to use wisdom to know what are you sharing at the age of 4, age of 10, 15, 20, after marriage, no, before marriage. Again, we don't share those mistakes. After marriage, childbearing, you share those mistakes. Then they begin to, that way you will not become a forgotten half. But we don't do that in Nigeria. Again, I'm just saying Nigeria. I can easily say Africa. But let's focus on our country. We don't do that in Nigeria. We don't at all. We spend our time hustling, looking for how many land have you bought, how many land have you put down together, how many houses are you going to leave behind. But we forgot, as men, we forget that nurturing aspect. That is why the kids always gravitate to the mom long term than the father. That's why. Because we don't take advantage of nurturing aspects. Another form of nurturing aspect is to just sit down and just talk. Find opportunities when they're doing something, relate your story. You must be a storyteller in your home. Oh, I'm a storyteller. My kids can say there is no, you ask my children, there is nothing they want to talk about. I can pull up a story, live story. I can pull up a definitely me here. Yes. Again, I'm still trying to understand this, but I got it right. Somebody called in, I called it off. So we're still on. Yes. You have to be a storyteller in your family. Telling of stories is a legacy. It's a legacy building activity. No matter how minute or how inconsequential you think that story is, to the person you are telling, it's because they were not there. Perception is the reality. They were not there. And you can tell the story in a way that will matter and will mean to what they are going through that present time. So they can relate to it very, very well. You have to do that. And you have to take advantage of nurturing opportunities. Not take them to school. How is your school? See, we're used to, how is your school? How are your grades? It gets old. And the kid just think, let's just get an A so he can get off my back. No. When I ask my children, how are your grades? Which one was okay? Which one wasn't? It wasn't right. What are the plans for that? Okay, I understand. And they explain it and I can relate because I was there. I got a D before. Yes. How many men can say on live TV that they got a D in class? I got a D before. Very well. I was not the smartest cookie in class. Nope. I know I was not. So, but I have a PhD. And trust me, actually, my dissertation is somewhere back here. My dissertation is, that's it. That's my dissertation there. It's a published book. There. So, hey, but I got a D. I remember my last semester in college, bachelor's degree, I got a D. That dropped my GPA. Who cares? I tell my children that so that they don't feel bad. Because in this day and age, that the society does not leave room for strong-minded children, you have to build your children to be strong-minded. And the way to do that is to let them know there is nothing, it's not the end of the world when they fail, they drop, or they decide to go in a different direction. Always just support, but guide. So that they will always come back to you. Now, my kids come to me and ask me questions. That's why I know I have captured the nurturing aspect with them very well. They call me up and say, what do you think? I want to do this. What's your idea? My son does. My daughter does all the time. But I know that most men don't have that in Africa. They don't. They don't have that nurturing aspect with their children. But in their eyes, they are building, they are having all these assets. You got to study medicine. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong in it. I don't choose for my children what they want to study, but believe me, they're excelling well. And whatever they've chosen, I'm happy because I know they won't go hungry. That's the key. But where we come from, they tell you how, where, when to do it. And then you later find that the kid didn't like it anyway. They got the degree, shoved it to your face on graduation day, and they moved on to do something else. And you're like, after all that money, blah, blah, blah. And they must not tell you, I didn't want to do it. I just did it for you. I didn't do that. Actually, I did, but I stopped it at bachelor's. And I wish I didn't, because I would have taken a different direction. But hindsight is always 20/20. I got a degree just to appease my dad because I couldn't do medicine, all that stuff. I said, what kind of degree? Sincerely, I said, what kind of degree will make this man happy? What kind? And I kept looking and I found one. I said, okay, good. He will like this one. Isn't that very sad? Spent 5 years because of something somebody will like, not what I would have done to feed my own mouth. We need to stop that. A cousin of mine, when I told her what my son was studying at that time, she said, wow, and you allowed it? I'm like, yeah, I allowed it. What do you mean? And I allowed it. He said, well, from our family tree, he doesn't know anybody that will even allow that. I said, well, I cut off that tree a long time ago. That tree is good. Let's put it in the backyard, look at it, be glad that's the branch that I fell from. But when that fruit fell from that tree, I made sure it rolled to another patch of the land to start something fresh. But we'll always give regards to that main tree that brought the fruit. But when it dropped, I kind of moved it some direction away. She was shocked. She couldn't believe it that I will allow that. What do you mean I will allow that? Is it my life? You guide. It allows you to plant yourself in a nurturing aspect in your child's life. So you don't become the forgotten half. Women already have so many days being celebrated like I talked about. They already have so many days being celebrated. So on Mother's Day today, I figured this is not the day to talk about Mother's Day. There are so many days you can talk about Mother's Day. Let's talk about men. Now, we've talked about not being able to reach out and say, I need help, or just talk to somebody. That's one. We need to change that. How do you change that? You begin to take stock of your friends, your colleagues, who are the people that you can trust, that you just can share with, or just hang out with. Women hang out more than men. They do ashwabi more than we would. If we wear ashwabi, it's because one lady in her life somewhere is saying we should wear it. Not because we're saying, batting ashwabi. No. So we need to find ways as men to watch and take care of each other's back. Not that our women don't get me wrong, please. Don't quote me wrong. But the reality is the child grows up. When it's growing, women nurture, university, marriage, they're gone again. Nurturing that. You are left behind. That's a fact. So let's kill each other. So if you don't make yourself relevant, you die young. Even if it's as 80, you still die young. You could have lived longer. But you have to make yourself relevant, both in your children's life and in your own life. How do you make yourself relevant? I'm going to touch on a topic briefly for now. To me, retirement is a myth. To me, my senior, wow. Senior Soji, nice to see you here. Thank you very much. I remember you were in the same house at Igbobi. Thank you very much. I feel honored that you're watching me. So what was I saying? Lost my train of thought. But what was I saying? That's why it's real. That's why it's real. I should have said hello to Senior Soji. But anyway, back to what I was saying. In terms of nurturing, you have to nurture yourself into your child's life. Very, very important. Very, very important. I mean, you can't trade that. Like I said, the child grows up, the mother nurtures, they get married, have children, the mother is gone. You are left behind again as that half. You're going to be that half that is going to be forgotten. So how do you make yourself relevant? That was where I left my train of thoughts. I got it back. Like I said, this is going to be real. I'm so sorry. It's going to be real. It's like we're talking, I'm in your living room. So this is not a formality. So you make yourself relevant. How do you do that? I'm going to talk about a topic briefly now, which it's a big topic, but just bear with me. Retirement is a myth. Even the word retirement is a killer. I don't like the word retirement. Me, I'm not going to be retired. I don't know what retirement is. I took it out of my psyche. And there's a reason why. Because retirement sometimes is like a clock that when you start it, it means you're dying off. But next is your funeral. Then maybe you become a grandpa, you do some weddings, and then and once you start doing weddings, you know your lonely days are here because the mother is gone to meet with the children. And these days, the children are most likely abroad. So once you hit that retirement key, you just started killing yourself. You're dying. So me, I don't have retirement in my brain. Why? Because retirement makes you irrelevant quickly. Makes you irrelevant quickly. How do you become relevant and avoid the myth of retirement? You see, to me, retirement means you are getting away from something that you don't really enjoy doing, but you're doing it just to make ends meet, and maybe you're making serious money, many ends meet, but it's still something that you wake up every day to do, and you cannot wait for when to stop whatever that activity is. I don't have that because I've decided to make myself relevant. How did I make myself relevant? I had to step back to say, Dapo, who are you? What are you? What do you like doing? What makes you happy? What do you enjoy doing? This is it. This is my space. I don't get paid for it. I hope I do though. Money is good, but I'm enjoying myself. So I don't see retirement. Believe me, I'm enjoying myself because each week somebody calls me or texts me how much what I've said has impacted them. I coach them a little bit as much as I can. And then I'm so happy. So how can I retire? I can't retire because I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Find something that's going to make you relevant, that you enjoy doing, no matter how small. And we quickly think, oh, I'll go set up a farm. Guys, you cannot at age 65, 70 begin to go into a business or an area that you have no clue about because you think you were born in the village, or you know your father left a big land in the village, or you can swing a cutlass up and down, or when you were in secondary school, you had a flying blade. And I'm using the word flying blade because one of my colleagues online who is watching me, he's going to be laughing at that. I said flying blade. Yes, because you were able to handle a flying blade when you were in secondary school boarding house. So you go into farming. No. A colleague of mine, I traveled recently. We had a reunion with my class, and we were just talking about things to do. And he said, don't go into something that you know nothing about. I'm like, this guy. When he said that, it really reinforced what I'm doing now. This talk that, you know what, this is it for me. This is it for me. And I know when I was young, if I had told my dad that I want to talk, they're going to do prayer and fasting for me. Actually, I loved music. I wanted to play the bass guitar. And I could paint. My daddy discouraged all that. Now, painters make a killing. Musicians, I don't want to mention their name because I'm not here to advertise anybody, but they are killing it in Nigeria. Making dollars there that we can make here. Sad. So find something that you enjoy doing that makes, no matter what it is, trust, no matter what it is, forget the money part. It will naturally become a source. So you can eliminate the word retirement from your head. Now, if you're working somewhere where you know that you're going to have to retire, just look at it as, I'm going to have to end this phase and I'm starting another phase. And what is that other phase? Begin to think about it. Begin to think about it within the confines of what you know naturally or what you are used to doing. Worst case scenario, whatever job you're doing, become a consultant. Find a sliver of aspect of that job that you cannot become a consultant for. Worst case scenario. But that's how you keep yourself relevant. Because when you now make yourself relevant, you now find a way to weave in your children into that relevancy. Like now, I talk to my family at least weekly. Sometimes when the spirit comes up, we still had a talk. What's today? Sunday? Friday morning. Very early in the morning, because the kids are busy now. And it was about 7 a.m. I said, go wake your brother at 7:15, we got to talk. And we had our talk. I don't miss that. But that's me. So I'm planting my relevancy in their life. So I don't think I'll become the forgotten half by God's grace, because grace is getting what you don't deserve. I learned that in church today. But when God gives you grace, you don't deserve it, but He gives it to you. So by God's grace, I wouldn't be a forgotten half to my children. So I don't have to wake up one day wondering, reading newspaper and just dying away slowly. You know, I know the guy who draws the cartoon on TV. I've forgotten the cartoon he draws rather. He just died at 99. And until 99, he still drew an episode. So he died naturally, pretty much in his sleep. He pretty much was like, the body was like, you do, we they go, make you begin to pack your load. And he just went to bed and slept and died. 99, still drawing cartoons. He wasn't working. He didn't retire. There was nothing to retire from. Retire from what? As you can see, I'm beating this retirement because I just came from a meeting where I saw guys who say, I'm retired, pensioner. I don't want that label. So you have to make yourself relevant. And when you make yourself relevant, make it within a confines of what you're naturally good at or love doing or know about, and weaving your family into it and your children into it, so you don't become the forgotten half. Because remember, we only have but 3 days that we are being celebrated in a year: Father's Day, International Men's Day, and Labor Day. Women, Lord Almighty, huge. So many, I don't even want to count. So many. They get celebrated for one thing or the other. So, make yourself relevant, definitely. Get yourself into a nurturing situation within your family. Now, you may say, you didn't get to do all this nurturing when they were young. Yes, but you have a brain, a heart full of wisdom that you need to start passing it on to your children. When you start doing that early, intimately, you are capturing an area that cannot easily be discarded. But if you focus your time on how many houses or whatever you building to live, I don't know. That's not long term. That's not long term. The other thing we need to do is, once a Nigerian man, and at this point I'm going to talk about my people, once the Nigerian man gets to a certain age, they start acting like grooming is not important again. I don't get it. Even before they get to that, I don't get it. They forget about grooming. I'm like, man, phew. No. Because even if you don't groom, if you don't stay order, you know what? Order is the first law of heaven. I don't know where I read that, but I saw it somewhere, and I made a video about that on my YouTube channel, Michael's Mindset. Michael's Mindset on YouTube. Go there. I did some videos there in 2008. I know I did a video called Order is the First Law of Heaven. Our God is not a disorderly God. God is not disorderly. God is orderly. And if you have your life in order, people, you're lucky. No, because you have left a platform and a well-manicured land for God to walk with you. And people think, wow, you're so lucky. No, you have to make it orderly. Very, very important that you groom yourself. Groom yourself as simple as taking care of your skin. When I was in Nigeria this past few weeks, an old friend of mine that I hadn't seen since I was 10 years, we were just talking about grooming for men. And I never knew it was a big deal because I naturally groom myself very well. And he said I should do a seminar on that. So I think I really need to do that, because he talked about grooming for men is a big deal in Nigeria. When you get to a certain age, just forget yourself. Meanwhile, the women keep grooming themselves, skincare, this skin, this wig, that wig, spa day. Do you go for spas? Men, I do. I'm due for a manicure, pedicure. I just came back. So I'm going to have one. Facials, massage. Yeah, I do very well. I have no problem with that. Yeah, you have to do that. Because if you do that, your soul will not want to die. Like, I'm not leaving this body. I'm having a good time. How am I going to live? You get healthier. Your outlook of life is better. Even the people around you know that they want to be around you. So grooming as men. Now you may be thinking, what has grooming got to do with nurturing? Look, you can't be having a messed up mouth odor. You think people want to be around you. They're just respecting you. No, you got to groom yourself. You got to groom yourself, brush your teeth, dress well, like you're going out or doing something. It keeps your environment very orderly. Keeps your environment very, very orderly. I promise you, you do that, you cannot be the forgotten half. Even your significant other or wife want to drag you along, she'll be scared. They say, the grandchildren are here, and also she's with the grandchildren. If you are worth looking at every time, she won't be with the grandchildren. Trust me, she'll still be scared. Even though at that time, women know, may not be as active as before, but we're still active. My grandfather had his child, I think in his late 70s. The guy is older than him 1 year, I think. So that's my uncle. Hey, and I look up to that guy like, you know what, Grandpa, you try. Good job. Let me legacy. But trust me, if you are groomed, smelling good, looking good, all that, she won't go with the grandchildren. She will go briefly. Except she does, if she feels herself, she has something to offer. That's not your headache. But you, no. You will think twice. Because anybody can still move in and park there. Even though that would be dumb of you. You know, you don't have to do that. You know. But yeah, you got to groom yourself. Very, very important. Watch your weight. We're going to talk about weight again. This wasn't me before. And I was overweight not because I was doing something wrong. I just didn't know how, understand why do you get fat? What are the things you do differently as you get a little bit older in age? I've learned all those and it's working for me very well. I couldn't wear this shirt 2 years ago. Now I can button it. This is 1X. I have to take in all my clothing. You know, you got to groom yourself in every aspect. Don't look at life as, otiton. No. Got to work on that gut. A few years ago, somebody was telling me in Nigeria that, if you don't have a big gut, people don't think you have money. And I look at that like, oh yeah. So I'm going to die because of liver swelling, inflammation all over my guts just to prove that I have money. I'm not interested in that money. You can keep that money because you won't spend it. You'll be spending it at the doctor's office. I want the money I will spend on me because I can still run around and move around. You know what I'm saying? So work on that gut. Lose weight. Find a way to lose it. If you can't lose it, get a coach. I have a coach. I'll be glad to recommend her. A great coach. And eventually, my coach finally worked for me. Not because I didn't have discipline, but accountability is very important. That's what I meant by being relevant. Find friends that you can be accountable to. Accountability of whatever you do. Very, very important. I've been talking for a while now, and I always try to keep this very, very short, but it's very difficult. And as you can see, I just jump from one topic to the other, and I keep it real, like I'm coming to your living room just to talk to you and have about 30 minutes of time. So I'd like to remind us, what are we doing today? Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to my 2 sisters online. God bless you. So Mother's Day. But I'm not talking about mothers now. I'm talking about fathers and men on Mother's Day. Because this Mother's Day reminded me that men end up becoming the forgotten half by default. And our happiness is in our hands. Nobody else's hands. Our happiness is in our hands. I even changed my glasses. My daughter tells me, your glasses now makes you look futuristic. She said that yesterday. Then I knew that, okay, nice choice. I changed my frames. Because you got to stay relevant in any way possible so that you don't become the forgotten half. Because if you become the forgotten half, you die unhappy. You die unhappy. You got to find ways to make yourself relevant because the children will pull their mom first before you, men. That's the reality. But if you make yourself relevant, even the woman will have to think twice before she starts gallivanting around and leaving you alone. She won't. Except she has the issue on her own. That's a different topic, different entirely. But status quo, balanced, she won't do that now. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So, just to summarize, men, let's make ourselves very, very relevant. I'm going to be talking a lot about men's topic, making sure that we all watch our backs and keep our backs together because we are the only one there for each other, quite frankly. Find friends, that you can hang out with, they can have reunions with, that you can talk to, somebody you can talk to, because as we get older, we have our own issues also. Very, very important. So with that being said, I'm going to thank you for joining. Thank you very much for sharing. I see when I look at the comments, most people are beginning to share the videos. I appreciate it very much. Open for comments. If you think there's something that could be done better or topics that you think we want to talk about, I'm open to do that. Like I said, I keep it real. God bless you. Have a nice week ahead. And mothers, enjoy the whole week as Mother's Day because even this week, what date are we in today? What's today's date? May 14. Let's see according to the calendar. May 15, hyper reminiscence, whatever this one names. My grammar is not that tough. May 17, National Pink Fix Day. Wow. Turn Beauty Inside Out Day, May 17. May 20, Eliza Doolittle Day. National High Heels Day is May 20, women. National High Heels Day is May 20. I want to see you on high heels. National Women in Aerospace Day is May 20. May 21, Sister Maria Hummel Day. May 22, National Boss Babes Day. See? National Boss Babes Day. May 22, World Preeclampsia Day. I don't know what preeclampsia is. That must be a medical term. I'm not sure. May 23, International Day to End Obstetric Fistula. May 24, International Women's Day for Peace and Disarmament. 25, Sally Ride Day. 28, International Day of Action on Women's Health. See, from now through the end of May, women enjoy Mother's Day. God bless you all. Have a nice one ahead. May you be favored at all turns, and may you receive grace in everything that you do. Even though grace means getting what we do not deserve, may God find favor and give you grace. Have a nice one. Take care. Have a nice week ahead. Bye-bye. Then please share, and like. Appreciate. Bye.